So, welcome everybody. I am Rachel Justice, and along with Jillian Levinson, I am the co-leader of the Woman to Woman program. And we are absolutely thrilled that you decided to join us for the third session of a 3-session series on pain management with the wonderful Emma Ehrenzeller. For those of you that are watching live, we're so happy that you're here. Those of you that are watching the recorded version, so glad that you decided to join the community in this way. And I'm going to just quickly turn it over to Emma so she can fill you in briefly if this is the first time you're joining. And it is absolutely fine to join 1, 2, or 3 sessions because they are standalone, but there is some information that kind of carries over from session to session. Just as a little bit of a heads up, we're starting a few minutes late, so this session will actually be going a little bit past 1 p.m. So please don't feel bad that if you have to leave. Again, it will be recorded and put into our video library, so you'll be able to catch anything that you might have missed. Emma, thank you so much, and I'm super excited personally to be part of this third session. I love all the sessions that you do, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the very warm welcome as always, Rachel. I'm really excited to dive in with you guys. As always, I'm going to pull up my presentation because it helps me stay on track. So let's get started. So if you haven't been with us for the other sessions, just like Rachel said, totally fine. In our first session, we talked about how pain works in the brain and the body, how the brain is really the thing that is what is deciding the kind of pain you feel. Last week, we talked about some of the mental and emotional aspects of pain. And this week, we are just really diving into different pain management techniques you can use. But again, if you haven't caught the other videos and recordings, there are pain management techniques in all of them. So I highly recommend you going back to those. But yeah, today we are covering pain management techniques. Like I said, we'll be talking about 3 in particular. And then as always, we will close with a group hypnotic meditation. This one will be on different visualizations to help you manage pain. Now, I will let you know there will be a very clear divide in the session today before we go into the hypnosis portion. So if you need to drop off, you always can before that and catch the recording later. And as we go through, just so you know, you can always drop any questions in the chat as we go along and I'll answer them. I'll also pause at a few points in the lecture to ask if anybody has any questions, okay? So I really encourage questions, especially when we get to talking about hypnosis, if it is going to be your first time in a group session. All right? Quick about me. Hello. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. My name is Emma Ehrenzeller. I think this is my 11th session with you guys. So I love Woman to Woman. It's such an amazing organization. Quick background about me. I studied public health in college. And with that, I was always really fascinated by the mind-body connection, placebo effects, like how we are able to use our brains in the process of healing. During COVID, like many others, life got very crazy. One thing led to another, and I became a hypnotist. That's another story for another day, but I've been doing it for the past 3 years. I absolutely adore it. It is such a powerful tool, and especially for things like pain management, but also anxiety, emotions, so many things. And I just love sharing it with you guys. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with our recap of last week. So last week, we talked about the mental and emotional aspects of pain. So if you're with us, this is a reminder. If you weren't, it's a little refresher, or not a refresher, a little sneak peek of what we talked about. But the first thing we discussed were your endorphins and how when you release your endorphins, you not only boost your mood, but you also release your body's natural painkillers. So the kind of tangible pain management tool coming out of this is to prioritize the things that make you happy or that are mildly aerobic for your body, like a brisk walk, if that's accessible for you right now. And of course, being happy is something, we all want to do. It's a great thing to prioritize. Yay, yay, happiness. But it's important because when you are feeling happiness, when you're feeling joy and contentment, oftentimes your endorphins are being released. That is making you happy, but that is also releasing the endorphins and allowing them to weave into the pain pathway in your body and start to decrease and even block some of the pain being signaled through your body. So prioritize the things that make you happy, number 1. Number 2, like we discussed with cognitive behavioral therapy, your thoughts physically change your brain. They can thicken or kind of begin to diminish some of the layers of your brain. So when you are beginning to notice your negative thoughts and the thoughts you have about pain, get curious about them. What are the thoughts that consistently repeat in your brain? Use things like thought ladders. Go from a negative thought to a neutral thought. something like, I have no control over my pain controls me, to there are things I can do to manage my pain. Feel that shift, see that shift. That's what we want to lead to with the way that you use your thoughts to change your pain. And in research, this is shown to actually decrease the pain you feel over time. Then the last thing was always use yourself as your own experiment. Try new actions, try something new apart from what you normally do with pain management. This is how you can weave in some of those cognitive behavioral therapy tools into your day-to-day life. And our last session goes more in depth to both of these. So let's dive in to today. The first tool we are going to talk about is breathwork. Now, if you haven't heard this term before, breathwork is essentially taking control of your breathing for emotional, mental, spiritual, or for our purposes, physical effects. Now, when we think about the breath is really like this doorway to being able to change what's happening in our nervous system. In the first session, we talked about how basically all of the nerves and the receptors in your body give your brain data, but then your brain is the one who decides whether it sends out a pain signal. You have these interactions between different parts of your nervous system. Now, within those parts, there is the portion of this tree-like system through your body, which actually controls all of your involuntary functions, your heart rate, your blood volume, your blood pressure, all of that kind of stuff. And all of that, we can't really exert any control over, right? You can't tell your heart to beat slower. You can do certain things that might make it slow down or speed up, but you can't exert direct control over most involuntary functions. Breathwork is the one thing that your body does automatically that if you want to, you can control. Because of this, when we decide to change how we're breathing, particularly if we slow our breathing, we exhale longer than we inhale, we start to change the communication in the nervous system. When we're experiencing pain, it can almost be like a communication overload in the nervous system. It can be a lot of anxiety being signaled, so many things. When we slow our breath, we are telling our body that it is okay to rest and relax. And that can lead to changes in how we experience pain in the moment and in the long term. So let's talk a little bit about the research and how they've explored how breath can be used for pain management. So they did a study at the University of Michigan looking at two different types of breath work and how it had influenced the experience of pain. So they had a group of individuals who were experiencing chronic pain. They split them into two groups. One group did a traditional form of breath work. So for 5 to 10, maybe 15 minutes, they would do counted breathing, inhaling and exhaling for a long time. We'll go through the specific techniques in a moment. And the other group did breathwork with virtual reality. Now, don't worry, the outcome from this isn't me telling you to go buy a VR machine, one of these fancy kind of video game things. But they put the participants in these kind of breathwork or in these VR machines so that they saw this immersive image of what you see here. As they inhaled, they'd see these simulated lungs on a screen expand. As they exhaled, they saw them contract. So it matched up with their own breathing. They had this visual and auditory immersive experience along with the breath work. Okay. So here's what they found. Oh, a note with this, they taught the individuals these techniques and they did them for about 2 weeks at home. Okay. So it wasn't just a one and done kind of thing. This was an ongoing practice. Here's what they noticed at the end of the 2 weeks. So both methods of breath work actually decreased pain, but they did so in opposite ways. So the traditional meditative breath work did it through something called interoception. So interoception is the body's ability to pay attention to the different internal sensations. And you might hear increased interoception and think, well, doesn't that mean, you pay more attention to the feeling of pain in your body? Actually, no. So this area of the brain right here that we keep coming back to, it's called the somatosensory cortex. It has to do with your perceptions, sensations, your senses, all of that kind of stuff. So when they did this breath work, when they slowed their breath, just exhaling longer than they inhaled, doing it in quite a basic way, they found that this part of the brain had to pay more attention to other parts of the body, to the other physical sensations happening throughout the body. it essentially kind of gave this somatosensory cortex a new task and said, oh, we're paying attention to other parts of the body now. So it inhibited its ability to pay attention to pain. So that was the way that the traditional breath work was able to change the experience of pain. On the other hand, the VR increased something called exteroception. So, with this, they are watching this immersive video of the lungs expanding and contracting. It's basically distracting the same area of the brain. It's saying, oh, look over here, look at this, pay attention to this instead. So, while instead of focusing on the pain and the sensations there, it's instead focusing on the auditory and the visual and all of these different things that its attention and its basically energy as this part of the brain is now being diverted to. So we see that with breath work, and I also want to emphasize this with all the different kinds of modalities we've spoken about in this series, they're often effective in their own way. And it doesn't really matter what route they get to, but they are often still leading to this decrease in pain. And I like to emphasize that along with the note of finding what feels good to you and finding what works for you specifically is so important. Even though we cover all these, the different research and the studies they've done, use all of that as, oh, this is interesting. This is great to learn about. But then also experiment with what works for you and know that there's so many different pathways at the physiological level that we can influence pain and decrease your experience of pain. So I just like to say that as a little note. So here are a few different breathing techniques you can use. And I will say in our last series on energy healing, we did an entire session that went more in depth to breath work. So if you want to learn more about this, I believe that one was called The Power of Breath or The Power of Breath Work. That should be in the Woman to Woman library.
And I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah. I just want to let you know that we actually have in November, we're going to actually have a 3-session series specifically on breathwork with a breathwork expert who will be doing only breathwork. So just stay tuned for that if this is something you would like to do an even deeper dive into.
Amazing. I'm going to have to join for that one. I want to.
Yes, please do. We always want
up to. Yes. Awesome. So the first one that we're going to start with is called belly breathing. And with belly breathing, it's exactly what it sounds like. Instead of breathing through your chest, you focus your breathing through your belly, filling your stomach with air and then using your stomach muscles to push that air out. It's almost like when you think of how a little baby breathes, they don't breathe in and out through their chest. They're letting those cute little baby bellies rise and fall. Okay, so just to try this out, on your next inhale, I'd love for you to focus on filling your stomach with air. Almost like your stomach is a balloon that you're filling up with air. Then when you get to your exhale, it's like you're letting all of the air out of your stomach, pressing it out with your stomach muscles, so long as that's not uncomfortable for you. But you're focusing on expanding and contracting your belly. You get bonus points for this if you also kind of allow that expansion to start in your belly and go to the bottoms of your ribs. This is how you can expand your diaphragm, which is really helpful in calming the nervous system. But we want to focus on this belly breathing. And this is something you can do anytime. I actually do this a lot. I try to focus this when I'm like walking to my graduate classes at Columbia. It's just a nice thing you can incorporate any time of your day. So the first one, belly breathing. The next one is box breathing or square breathing. It's also called counted breathing at times, but at the same time, it's good to focus on filling your stomach with this, but you now add some counts to it. And online, people use all different sorts of counts. I personally love 4-2-6. So inhaling for a count of 4, holding it for 2, exhaling for 6. Again, using those stomach muscles to fully release any air in your stomach and in your lungs. And really the goal here is to kind of give your mind something to focus on, right? If just focusing on belly breathing alone isn't enough to kind of help you stay in the moment, to help you stay focused on your breath, counting can be really helpful because it gives your mind a direct task to do, right? It's not just let me feel my belly. It's let me inhale for 4, hold for 2, and exhale for 6. So let's just try this together one time. On your next inhale, when you're ready, I'd like you to breathe in for a count of 4. Hold it at the top for 2. And exhale for 6. Good. That's a pattern that you'd want to continue for anywhere from 10 rounds, which is kind of like maybe 3 minutes. Um, Sometimes just a few rounds can be helpful to ground yourself, bring yourself back into the present moment. If you're using belly or box breathing in your pain management protocol, maybe set a timer. Start with 3 minutes, move up to 5, build up from there as you feel comfortable. Okay. And there's one more I wanted to add to this, and this is different visual breathing assists. So you'll see in this video, it's kind of like an iris looking thing, expanding and contracting. You can match your breathing as it expands with the inhale, or as it expands, you inhale, and then when it contracts, you exhale. You can YouTube things like a guided visual meditation, guided breathwork, VR, and find something that you enjoy. The Calm app has a lot of things that are visual on YouTube. There's plenty of stuff out there. But if you find that having something visual to focus on is helpful for you, and maybe, you would fall more on this side of things to help really be in the moment with your breath, something like this on YouTube or online would be really great for you. Okay. So let me just go through some main takeaways. Simple things here. Breathe from your belly. Start to notice as you go through the day where your breath is. Is it in your chest or is it in your belly? Belly is better. Exhale longer than you inhale. That's kind of the point of counted breathing, is to make your exhalations longer. This helps, again, to alert your nervous system that, hey, we're safe, we are calm, and it is okay to relax. You can use assist through videos if that's helpful for you, even, music if you want to breathe along to different counts. And try and start with 10 rounds of slow breathing, maybe in the morning, maybe after your lunch break, whatever it may be. Final thing I'll say, and this counts for everything that we talk about, is practice. You might find that the first time you do it, you're like, ugh, this is boring. I don't love it, right? But maybe after a few times, you start to realize, oh, I'm actually starting to get the hang of this. And after I finish, I actually feel really good. So give yourself a chance to really lean into the practice. Okay. So let's move on to our next portion here. We have our main takeaway, of course. Here we're going to get into a hypnotist dream. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm a hypnotist, and a lot of hypnosis work, especially when you get into the more spiritual, self-help, personal development side of things, it's a lot about this idea of the subconscious mind and subconscious beliefs. But let's start with what the subconscious mind really is. So I personally like to define the subconscious mind as the way that your brain and your body act when you're on autopilot. Because just like we saw, zoom us back a little bit, just so as we saw in this diagram, the brain is one part of our nervous system, but it is this command center of all these different areas, right? So it's not just like the brain determines what we do day in and day out. It's actually an interaction of our brain and our body. Including the body in there is just as important as understanding the brain. So when we think about the subconscious mind, it's really everything we do without conscious thought. So you can think about, even as I talk, it's the way I'm moving my hands. I'm not thinking, and now I'll move my hand here and I'll move my hand here and do this. No, it's just naturally how I express. Or you might think about the way, the assumptions you make about a partner when you're in a fight, or the negative thoughts you hear on repeat without really thinking about it. All of these things fall under our subconscious mind. And you might have heard this before. I am a little dubious of this fact, but it kind of shows the importance of the subconscious, is that there's this whole idea that only 5% of what we do in a given day is actually controlled by the conscious mind. Everything else is below consciousness. It's subconscious. So one important piece that falls under the subconscious mind are subconscious beliefs. Now, our beliefs are the things that we believe, to use the word in the definition, the things that we believe will keep us safe in the world, the way that we were conditioned through childhood or through repetitive experiences to navigate life safely, to navigate life within a certain set of expectations that makes life predictable. We take on our subconscious beliefs over time. And to be clear, these are different from like faith beliefs, or maybe like if you're telling yourself positive affirmations, I believe in myself. It's different from that. It's more about how you navigate the world and what you think you need to do to be loved, or what you expect about the world. Okay. Does that kind of difference make sense? We'll continue going through and it'll probably make more sense as we go. But again, feel free to drop any questions in the chat as we go. When we think about pain beliefs are associated with our experience of pain, and certain pain beliefs can be associated with a greater pain intensity. An example of a belief about pain would be something like, I have no control over my pain, or perhaps something like, I have to live with this pain forever, no matter what. Now, these beliefs can be, in research, have been categorized into a few categories, being self-blame, this pain is my fault, pain permanence and pain constancy, it's never going to leave, there's nothing I can do about it, and even mystery. So this idea of I don't know where it's coming from and it feels like no one can help me. Each of those categories kind of have their own mental effects, but overall, they found time and time again that specific beliefs can lead to different outcomes and different experiences of pain. So one example I mentioned in the first session was two children, I believe they were about to go into a bone marrow transplant, a notably painful procedure. They took account of the children's pain beliefs beforehand. And specifically, they were looking at the amount that the children believed that they could control their pain, what level of control they believed they had over their pain. The children who believed they had more control over their pain experienced less pain in the procedure, whereas the children who believed they had less control of their pain experienced markedly more pain in their procedure. So we see how these pain beliefs across different medical issues, across different specific types of belief can be associated with greater pain intensity. So the first step here becomes understanding what are your beliefs about pain, and that's what we're going to break down here. So the first thing is to identify what your beliefs are. And last week we talked a lot about cognitive behavioral therapy and tracking your thoughts, getting curious about your thoughts about pain. As you track your thoughts, I want you to get curious and go to the next level and think, if I'm constantly having a thought about maybe controlling my pain or a certain thing about my body or even my treatment, if I'm always having this thought, what do I think that means I believe about my health, my body, and my treatment? I see we have something in the chat. Let me jump in this. Okay. Bye, Amanda. Thanks for joining. And on a big picture level, we can sometimes see this in a spectrum. So there might be one side of the spectrum where, individuals might see themselves as strong, as resilient, with control over their bodies to some extent. Again, it's not meant to be like complete mind over matter. You can control everything, but just like you have some ability to manage your body. Or there's the other side where individuals can feel like their body is more fragile, like they have to be extremely careful with it. Again, I'm not saying you shouldn't be careful and healthy and all these things, but almost an idea of like, my body is weak and my body controls me. This is kind of the spectrum of beliefs we can see when it comes to how we feel about our health and our body. So as you're going about identifying these, I'm going to share some journal prompts you can use to explore. I really want you to focus on what feels emotionally resonant with you. So a lot of times our conscious, logical brain will try to be like, well, that's crazy. There's no way I believe that. But emotionally, when we say something like, even something like, I feel like I'm so fragile, in our conscious mind, we might say, that's not true. I'm strong and I've been through so much and blah, blah, blah. But then part of us emotionally feels like really reactive to that statement of fragility or having to be careful or all these different things. We want to pay attention to that emotional aspect because that's what's really living in the subconscious. Okay. And I know this is a little bit more high level work, if you will, but I do want to share it with you because it does get to be an ongoing, just an ongoing conversation you get to have with yourself. So I don't know if anyone here has a journaling practice or even just a reflective practice, but here are some main things you can think about because our subconscious is informed a lot by our caregivers growing up, a lot by our society, and the different expectations we're given from people in authority positions, such as like a medical provider, for instance. So one thing I want you to think about is how your caregivers related to pain, their bodies, things like that growing up. I can say from my personal experience, I had someone in my family who isn't very old, who hasn't had, any kind of seriously marred health history, have been generally healthy their whole life, yet they have always talked about themselves as very weak, very fragile. Their body isn't something that they can trust. And it's something I've always found very curious because they've always been generally healthy. I guess would be that person has specific beliefs about their body being fragile, being needed to take special care of, all these things that aren't always the most empowering. that are they're okay to have. But when it comes to pain, those are the kinds of things that can exacerbate pain in the long term, believing that you don't have any really control over the body. And that being said, being around that person a lot, I've noticed how by osmosis that I've kind of taken on some of those beliefs myself and how to do my own work on them. Can also ask about, what society has told you about your body and your health. This is especially prominent for women. We have a lot of messages to us, given to us about our bodies, especially as we get older. And then also considering, how successful you believe your treatment will be, whether there are things you're confused on, whether there are things that you've tried before and you're trying again and you just are dubious about it. It's important to interrogate this as well, because one, that can show you the questions that maybe you need to talk to your doctor about so you feel more confident going into something, a certain procedure or a course of treatment. And also, we can't do a whole session on the placebo effect, but we do see these huge health changes just based on how successful people believe a treatment will be. If you ever see a test about a new pharmaceutical that they're testing out in clinical trials, and one group gets the pill, one group gets the sugar pill that doesn't actually do anything, but they think that they're taking it. In some of these trials, the people taking a sugar pill actually have as much healing or improvement in symptoms as the people taking the actual pharmaceutical medication. So it's things like that we just want to get curious about when we think about pain, because it can relate to your overall experience of it. Okay. Main takeaway here, get curious about your beliefs. Use the CBT techniques we talked about last week with your thoughts as the first step. And as you get in a rhythm of becoming conscious and aware of your thinking patterns, take it one level deeper and get curious. Well, what beliefs are causing all of these thinking patterns? Okay. Does anyone have any questions there before we move on to the next part? Okay, let's dive in. So I actually have a question for you guys. All these sessions are about hypnosis. I know we have some new folks in here today, but especially if, for anyone who's been to some of our sessions, do you think it's possible to hypnotize yourself? Or is it something that only someone else can do to you? You can share with the chat, or you can come off mute if you'd like. Okay, that's fine. No one has to answer. It's kind of a weird question. Oh, someone popped in the chat. Sometimes it's hard to avoid your subconscious mind. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, to go to your point, Hildred, if I'm, understanding what you mean exactly, sometimes you just keep falling into the same patterns or the same relationship dynamics or the same feelings over and over again. And after a while, it kind of smacks you in the face of like, oh my gosh, this is something on a subconscious level just looping me in the same patterns over and over again. And yeah, um, Rachel, absolutely. So Rachel says, I think yourself could work. I especially like the idea of a visual guide. So absolutely, you can actually hypnotize yourself, and very aptly, it is named self-hypnosis. Very creative, I know. Self-hypnosis can come in two different forms. One is just listening to recordings on your own time. So this can be a recording if you wanted to make yourself, you could totally do that. Or you can pop in the Woman to Woman library, open any of our past sessions, and go to like 40 minutes in, and that'll be around when we start. Or you can actually, in your own mind, lead yourself through a self-hypnosis experience. Now, I do recommend if this is your first session with us, it's always good to have done a few recordings, have done a few sessions, group sessions, before you start doing this, just because you have more experience, you have more visualizations, but it's something anyone can do. And if you've been with us for some of these sessions, you'll know I don't really use a lot of stock photos like this. I find stock photos to be a bit corny. But I wanted to include this one because it kind of made me giggle. Like, she has this perfect little messy bun. She's sitting on a beautiful foggy edge of a mountain range. It's so picturesque, but I include this to say this kind of work, whether it's self-hypnosis, whether it's breath work, whether it's interrogating your subconscious mind, it's for you no matter who you are. You don't have to find yourself at the edge of a picturesque valley in order to find this kind of peace and enlightenment. I do my own self-hypnosis work every morning at like 7:30 with the eye boogers still in my eyes and my hair greasy but hidden today. Nasty in whatever form from the night before. This work gets to be yours to explore in whatever state is comfortable for you. So if you decide, you've done quite a few of these group sessions, you've listened to the recording before, you now want to try self-hypnosis on yourself and just doing it in your own mind, it'll follow 3 simple steps. And before we go through these steps, I do also want to mention, I'm not bringing up the, research with self-hypnosis here because we've kind of already talked about it. So if you are kind of a research nerd or that just makes you feel more comfortable trying a new modality, there are some studies where they talk specifically about self-hypnosis and how it helped people improve their anxiety and pain. There are a lot of studies which reference things like body scans, progressive muscular relaxation, guided imagery, self-guided imagery, visualization. Anything that's referencing those kinds of, words, they're really talking about self-hypnosis because that's what you lead yourself through. They just are using different language. And I see that a lot with hypnosis, to my chagrin. But just know, if you like to dive into stuff like that, those are keywords that you can see and know, okay, they're probably using some hypnotic techniques here. And most of the research that we've covered in this series used techniques like that. So let's jump into how you can do self-hypnosis in 3 simple steps. The first is breathwork, which we've already covered. Take 1 to 3 minutes, do 10, a few rounds, whatever you feel comfortable with, just slowing your breath. That's number 1. Start to calm that nervous system. Number 2 is a body scan, or what is more, formally called progressive muscular relaxation. If you've been to one of the sessions before, this is sounding familiar. It's what we do at the start of every session. If you haven't, how this works is you start from your head. You can also start from your toes if you want, and you go muscle by muscle. You notice if you're holding any tension there, and you relax that muscle, and then you go on to the next. And you do that through every major muscle group or every little minute muscle in your body from head to toe. Now, what that might feel like is for instance, when I talk and when I'm just going through my day life, I always am raising my eyebrows a little bit. So that would be something as I get into the state, I'm like, okay, now I relax my eyebrows and I notice, oh, they're up. And so I let them relax down. Notice if you're unclenching your jaw, if your shoulders are up. That's the kind of stuff you want to go through and just release. Okay. And some people like to make this immersive, and I actually recommend it. You can imagine yourself doing this body scan while you are sitting on your favorite beach chair or while you are on a blanket in a beautiful meadow at sunset, right? You can make it immersive in that way. What you can also do is kind of imagine something or someone else relaxing your body. So you might imagine a warm towel going onto these different muscle groups bit by bit. Or you might imagine someone even massaging these muscle groups, massaging the tension out, and just noticing what it feels like when you send your attention to these different parts in that way. Now, if as you do this, you struggle to notice or feel or relax certain parts of your body, you can almost take a reverse a tactic where you actually specifically tense a certain muscle for 5 seconds as hard as you can, and then release that muscle for 10 seconds. And you just do that muscle by muscle by muscle from your head to your toes. And just know, you can also find videos on YouTube to follow along with this. Or you can, do one of the past recordings and I lead you guys through it as well for all of them. We're going to do this later today. But know that this is something you can also use as a standalone just to help your body get more relaxed. So part 2 is a body scan. Any questions on that? Okay. Let's move into the actual self-hypnosis portion. So self-hypnosis can take 2 main forms, and I actually encourage you to combine them if it feels comfortable for you. The first one is visualization. So with this, you'll use your imagination to see the pain changing or leaving your body. So some things that this might look like is a golden light swirling and releasing the pain, right? We've done that a few times in our past sessions. You might imagine the pain as a certain color and then you paint over it to change the color, or it's like clay that you remold and you shrink and dissolve away. You might put the pain in a bottle that flows away into the ocean. When you do this in this calm, relaxed state, your subconscious mind is taking a hint. It's saying, okay, we're changing this pain. We're allowing it to flow away. Like we talked about, your brain is the thing that controls your pain, not necessarily your body. And that is why hypnosis can be so powerful. You're giving your brain a new idea of how you're relating to this pain. So really experiment with these different visualizations. And if you're like, Emma, what in the heck are you talking about? Like, I don't even know what this visualization would begin to look like. Don't even worry. That is what our hypnosis session today is really going to be focused on, giving you almost like a montage of different hypnosis visualizations you can use on yourself whenever you're feeling a flare up or feeling even just like anxiety you want to release. Okay. So the first one is visualization. The second one are affirmations. So, really just repeating affirmations to yourself when you're really relaxed and in this calm state of healing, vitality, strength, comfort. You might say things like, I feel comfortable and at ease. Discomfort is leaving my body. Comfort is my natural state of being. Anything like that. As I've said time and time again through this series and probably every series I've done with y'all, find the ones that feel good to you. If there's one that just kind of feels like BS and you're like, that doesn't feel like me, choose one that feels resonant with you, an affirmation that makes you feel like, yes, this is what I'm looking for and this feels really good. Pop in the chat really quick. Yes, Audrey, I love what you've shared. I breathe in what I need, breathe out what I need to get rid of, and create a bubble and let it go. Beautiful. I really love that. Right. And what I love about that, Audrey, is like that's something you've identified that works for you, the imagery of a bubble, filling that up with the things you're ready to let go of. Yeah. Was someone trying to say something or were you just off mute for a second? Okay. Let me go ahead.
No, I just muted myself because my dog is barking.
Oh, okay. Oh, cute. But yeah, and when we think about affirmations, that is actually going to also tie us in to the lessons we've talked about with CBT, as well as the subconscious mind. So if you identify certain beliefs about your body, about your health, it's great to ask yourself, well, what do I want to believe instead? If I believe that I have absolutely no control over my body, right? Which is a distressing kind of thought to have. What would be a more empowering version of that? What's a few steps above that? Maybe it's, I believe there are things I can do to manage my body and promote health. And that would be something like an affirmation that you could even say in hypnosis to put your mind on a new track. Okay. And so you can also, visualize something and repeat affirmations to yourself after, find the groove that works for you. And as a little just aside, normally breath work, minute to 3 minutes. The body scan, when we do it together, takes 5 to 8 minutes. I find when I do it on myself, it's normally anywhere from like 3 to 5 minutes. It's just a little faster to do in your own mind. Might be more, might be less for you. And then the hypnosis techniques, as long as you need them, right? Practice them over time. Find what visualizations are really powerful for you, or which affirmations really feel good to you, really resonate with you emotionally, and get you into a feeling of empowerment, get you into a feeling that's, maybe even just neutral from a negative to a neutral place. Get curious with what works for you. Okay. So that is the hypnosis session and the self-hypnosis work. And like we haven't gone over this yet, but you're conscious the whole time, right? It's not like you're putting yourself into a trance that you can't get out of. It's just like a new way to get into a deep meditative state, really. Okay. Does anyone have any questions on self-hypnosis before we move on? Okay. Great. So, takeaways: use your breath as a tool for relaxation, focusing on intero and exteroception to decrease pain. Question and change your beliefs about your health using your subconscious mind. And become a master of your mind body connection by practicing hypnosis and self hypnosis regularly. Okay. In whatever forms feel good for you. And that's one thing I really want to close us out here as we get to the end of this lecture portion. Practice, right? You get to be your own experiment. So try different things. But, if something doesn't work the first time, that's okay. A lot of things that we do and try in our lives don't work the first time. We need some time to feel comfortable with it and to find a groove that kind of feels good to us. So I encourage you to try different things and also, be a little patient if it's not an immediate change the first time. A lot of times it might not be the exact pain change you're looking for, but it might make you feel less anxious. It might make you feel more empowered. It might change other things that are beneficial in other parts of your journey. Okay. So I always like to say that in case there's any kind of all or nothing thinking that can really weave in, especially with things as sensitive as pain. So we have talked about so much in this series. As usual, I wanted to go ahead and make a summary doc for you guys to cover everything we've talked about. So if you go to this link, I'm going to send it to Rachel after so it can potentially be emailed out, but I will also share it in the group. So if you copy and paste that, what I just shared in the chat and what you see here, bit.ly/W2W pain, that will bring you to this guide. You can download it. You can go through and it has some links for you. It has a walkthrough of every single activity we've talked about. Okay. So be sure to do that if you found this helpful and you just want to experiment with more. Okay. That closes out our lecture portion. Before we even begin talking about hypnosis, between breath work and subconscious mind and self-hypnosis, any questions there before we move on? Okay, great. So I know we have a number of new faces in here today. Let me just check. So I'm going to do a brief overview of what hypnosis is and share a bit about that. And if you have any questions as I'm talking, again, feel free to drop them in the chat or come off mute and share them. So if you're unfamiliar, hypnosis is really just like a deep guided meditation. So if you've ever gotten to the end of a yoga class and felt really relaxed, if you've ever done like a sound bath, or even if you've just gotten really in flow with some kind of artistic venture, whether you're dancing or painting or sculpting a pot, and you kind of lose track of time. All of those are examples of getting into a hypnotic state. It's actually something we flow in and out of every single day. When we go into hypnosis, it's really just about using different relaxation techniques. Literally exactly what I just described in self-hypnosis is what we will be doing together. Using these different techniques to relax your nervous system, calm your body, calm your mind, and really open up this idea, this subconscious mind, so that you can change how you feel on autopilot, change your automatic thoughts, change your automatic behaviors to things that are more helpful, healthy, and empowering for you. A few things to note about hypnosis: you are conscious the whole time. You might feel really relaxed and a little bit dreamy even, but you'll also notice that you'll have thoughts pop in and out, and you'll be like, oh, am I still awake? I am still awake, actually. I'm very much awake. That actually surprised me the first time I went into hypnosis, because I had really only seen the stage shows and some other odd things about it prior. In addition, if for some reason my computer dissolved into a million tiny pieces and we abruptly ended our session in the middle, you also can't get stuck in hypnosis. If for some reason our session stopped, you would notice that I stopped talking and you would open your eyes and be like, okay, where's Emma? Feeling totally normal. Or you would go into a normal nap. Your body, if it decided you needed a little extra rest, you just take a normal nap and you'd wake up. More often than not, however, it's hey, what happened? Not that that's really happened before, but to be clear, you will always retain your consciousness in hypnosis. That is kind of the main things that I like to share as a quick overview, but I am curious, does anyone have any questions or things I can clarify about the hypnosis experience? Okay. I have a few other things I'll share, but if anything comes to mind, feel free to drop it in the chat. This is just the hypnosis disclaimer I always like to share. The main thing I want to emphasize is hypnosis is not a substitute for any kind of medical attention, okay? Especially with pain management, use these different pain management tools, but talk to your doctor about them, right? Just have them in the loop that you are working on these pain management things. I talked a lot about why and what that looks like in our first session, but this isn't a substitute. It's also not any kind of substitute for mental health care. And really what we're going to be doing today, relaxation techniques, imagery techniques, and stress reduction processes is really what will comprise our session. So we'll get into it in just a few moments. I'm going to do my little hypnosis monologue I always do now. So as we go into the session, you might notice a few things in your body. You might notice a feeling of heaviness, kind of like you're melting, or you might notice a feeling of lightness, kind of like you're floating. Some people feel a little tingly, some people feel a little numb. All of that's totally normal. You are also in complete control the entire time. So if I tell you to visualize yourself at the beach and you decide you want to go to the mountains, go to the mountains. This is your session, and I encourage you to really lead wherever you're wanting, or to go wherever you're feeling called. Let's see what else. I do this little monologue so much, sometimes I forget the different pieces. Oh, if you need to reorient yourself as you go through, get a little more comfortable, scratch your nose, do anything like that, you are more than welcome to. It's not going to like suddenly take you out of hypnosis. It'll just get you more relaxed. And last thing I will mention, this session will definitely probably go until about 1:10, 1:15-ish. So if you like have a conflict around those times, I would go ahead and log off now and then catch the recording at another time. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about hypnosis before we dive in? Great. And I will say, I just recommend, getting in a comfortable place with your back supported so you can kind of lean in. Even better if your neck can be supported too while sitting up. If not, that's fine. Otherwise, we will go ahead and get started. Sound good? Awesome. Well, guys, to begin, go ahead and close your eyes. Whenever you're ready, just start with a few deep breaths. So on your next inhale, inhale for a count of 4. Hold it at the top for 2. And exhale for 6. Good. And again, inhale for 4. Hold for 2. And exhale for 6. Good. And one more time. Inhale for 4. Hold for 2. And exhale for 6. Good. Good. We're about to embark on a co-creative journey using your vivid imagination. All you have to do is follow the sound of my voice and the vivid creative images built out by your powerful subconscious mind. So to begin, I'd like you to imagine yourself in a peaceful place in nature. Maybe you see yourself on your favorite beach, or maybe for you, you're on a hike in the mountains. Just take a few moments to notice what organically arises for you. Once you do, just notice the details. What kind of colors are around you? What shade of blue is the sunny sky above you? Maybe you feel a cool breeze go across your arms and just tickle your arm hairs. Maybe there's birds chirping in the distance. You just notice all of the details of this place. You find that they make you feel more and more relaxed the more you tune into them. But you just find yourself in this peaceful place in nature, going towards somewhere comfortable to sit. Maybe it's a soft, comfy blanket. Maybe it's a supportive lawn chair. Just notice whatever it is. You take a seat in this space, in this comfortable, tranquil place in nature. And as you do, you just feel your body begin to relax. Maybe it's a sunny day with the temperature just to your liking. It's almost like the radiance from the sun just moves through your body, relaxes each and every muscle group. You feel this calming, radiant energy just starting at the crown of your head. So you relax your eyebrows, your cheeks. You release any tension. You unclench your jaw. You just feel all the micro muscles in your face totally, completely relaxed. Good. The sense of peacefulness moves down your neck to relax your neck, cascades down your shoulders and your arms almost like a soothing waterfall as you relax your shoulders, your upper arms, your elbow, your forearm, all the way to the wrists and the palms of your hands. Maybe for a moment, it almost feels like that energy is pooling and collecting in the palms of your hands. Like there's a softness or an energy in that space that you can almost feel like a tingling. And it extends out past the tips of your fingers. Now relax your chest muscles. You allow your abdominal muscles to release. Feel soothing warmth just move down your back. Good. And finally, you allow all the muscles in your legs to just ease any tension. You start with your thighs. You relax your knees, your calves, all the way to your ankles and the bottoms of your feet. And maybe it's almost like any remaining stress or worry just flows right out of the bottoms of your feet, all the way from the crown of your head. Your whole body feels totally and completely relaxed. Maybe for you, you feel a sense of heaviness, like you're just melting into comfort. Maybe instead you feel a sense of lightness, like you're floating. Either is completely okay, totally normal in this safe space. Good. Maybe in front of you in this peaceful place in nature, you just notice a colorful sunset stretching over the horizon. Maybe you see brilliant reds and pinks, oranges. You just notice the different colors you see. Maybe you hear the birds chirping their final song with the night. As you pay attention to the sunset, you just begin to feel more and more relaxed. And in a few moments, I'm going to count from 8 to 1. With each count, you'll find yourself becoming more and more relaxed, more totally and completely at peace in your body and with yourself. So 8, just noticing the different colors in the horizon. 7, feeling so calm, so at peace. 6, just going deeper and deeper. 5, 4, the deeper you go, the better you feel. 3, the better you feel, the deeper you go, all the way down to 2 and 1, feeling so totally, completely relaxed. Good. Now that you're calm and completely relaxed, you're open and willing, your subconscious mind has opened to receive any relevant suggestions at the deepest levels of the mind. Your thoughts may drift away from here, but your subconscious mind is attentive and records every positive suggestion now offered to you. So when you think about pain, you know there are many things to consider. You realize your body already knows ways to make yourself more comfortable. And you can learn more ways. You can learn to relax away pain. Many people have learned to manage their pain, and you can too. You have so many powers that you can use now that you need them. They've always been there, waiting. And science has even shown that the mind has the ability to block signals from getting to the brain. You have the pain, but you can tell your brain that it's not always necessary to feel it. Everyone has the ability, including you. So we'll go through different ways to teach your subconscious mind to calm, even to block pain, and you will choose the one, continue to use the one that works best for you. Good. So you know the way that water can just dry up and vanish. Maybe you imagine water evaporating from a puddle on the sidewalk, or a picture being left out in the sun, how it can fade due to the sunlight. Well, that fading can happen to other things too. The first way you can block your pain To first focus on the area you want to be made better. Take a moment to think about that spot in your body, the exact spot you want to change. And now, if you had to give that spot on your body a color, what color would that be? Think of the color right for that spot that you want to change. As you're thinking about it, take a deep breath and imagine somehow breathing out through that spot. Almost like a cold, refreshing, icy breath, a breath of freedom, of ease, of relief. As you breathe out, you imagine the color of that spot getting lighter and lighter, less and less intense, just fading away. Now, on the next breath out, the breath goes through that spot again. The spot changes and becomes even lighter. The sensations of that spot fade away as the color changes to the color of the rest of your body. You feel comfort and almost just a neutral sensation enter this area. You enjoy the change. With each breath out, you let that spot change until it's completely faded away. Good. You know you can return to this tool anytime you need in the future. Good. But I wonder if you know that there's other ways too. You can use your imagination and your subconscious mind to turn down your pain. Have you ever closed a window and realized that you shut out a sound that you weren't initially aware of? But once you shut it out, things become so much more peaceful. Some people think about their pain as a sound. It's like a discomforting noise that won't go away. So maybe you'd like to think about the sound of your pain, just becoming aware of that sound if it had to be one. Like any sound, you can alter it. Just like you might change the station on the radio in your car, turn down the volume of your earphones, anything like that. You know you can always change the sounds you hear, the volume at which you hear them. So you imagine that you can reach out and you grasp a control knob or dial, a volume control. You control that to turn down the sound. You just start turning the circular volume dial down. You can turn it down a little, keep turning it down and down until you can't hear that sound at all, until the pain is too small to notice. And as you turn that dial down, you just feel a sense of relaxation flow into your body. You feel your body enter into a natural state of comfort. You can always return to this dial and turn it down whenever you need, releasing any tension from your body, prioritizing a sense of tranquility and comfort all throughout it. You can just relax in peace, enjoying a quiet contentment. Good. Now I want you to imagine yourself at a wonderful beach. The sea is calm, the sun is shining. Maybe you even feel a warm breeze, just noticing how good you feel looking out the horizon. You feel warm sand on your toes. Maybe the water is almost reaching your feet. So relaxing and so good. Now I want you to imagine a bottle. It's empty. You pick that bottle up from the sand. Take a moment to look at it. It's an old, empty glass bottle with a cork in it that you can easily remove. So you just do that now. You uncork the bottle. And intuitively you realize you can use this bottle and this ocean in front of you to wash away the sensation of pain. So with the power of your imagination, your subconscious mind, I want you to fill the empty bottle with the pain you might feel. Maybe it's almost like a viscous liquid is flowing out from your body, filling the bottle. You just imagine this pain flowing out of your body, filling the bottle, flowing and leaving your body, completely out of your body and into the bottle. It's full, and the pain has been released from your body, and you are left feeling completely comfortable and at ease. You cork the bottle now, and you toss it, or maybe you chuck it and throw it with all your might into the seawater as far as you can. The pain you suffered from before is now in that bottle. It floats further and further away from you. Watch it drift away until finally it goes across the horizon and you cannot see it again. You're relaxed and free from pain, and it's gone. You can't see the bottle anymore, and you feel happy and full of joy, feeling strong. You feel completely healthy, and you're so relaxed. Good. And finally, there's one last pain visualization for your subconscious mind to learn today. I'd like you to think back to a time when maybe you played outside in the snow as a kid without any gloves on. Maybe if you've never been in the snow when you were a kid, just imagine what that might be like, making snowballs and building snowmen. But this day, for some reason, you don't have any gloves. You feel your hands begin to get cold, begin to get a bit icy, and eventually go comfortably numb as you're playing. Just imagine what that would feel like now. Just focus on that feeling, that numb feeling. Imagine what it would be like to take those numb fingers and touch those cold, numb fingers to the place that hurts. You will let that cool, refreshing feeling spread from those fingers to the pain spot. You just feel the pain go comfortably numb, getting cold and detached. Just like frost spreads on a window pane, the numbness spreads out slowly to the pain, penetrating into the tissues and easing that pain, allowing it to release. That pain becomes like a distant idea, a lack of feeling. Good, good. You can use any of these techniques in your life going forward to manage the pain. You can use one of them or all of them, whatever you prefer. You may know which method works best for you. You're free to use them all as you like. Good. You now know how to bring your body into a state of comfort. You know your body is always healing you and working towards being more comfortable and at ease. Always, every moment of every day, your body is working to make you more comfortable. You feel strong and resilient. You know your body is your friend, always working to protect you and keep you healthy. You feel your health growing more and more each day. And your body will only signal pain when it is necessary to alert you of something. You trust your body and know that it will tell you what it needs. And you trust your ability to manage any discomfort that arises. In your day to day, you wake up feeling comfortable, at ease, and strong in your body. And this feeling of health and strength only grows stronger by the day, stronger by the hour, and stronger by the minute. And all of the suggestions from today are firmly embedded in your subconscious mind. You feel confident going forward and practicing these different techniques whenever you need to. Good. So in a few moments, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. At the count of 5, you'll open your eyes feeling completely awake, refreshed, and totally in your body, feeling normal. Okay. So 1, just beginning to notice how your body feels. 2, maybe beginning to wiggle your fingers and toes, noticing how they feel. 3, just swaying side to side. 4, eyelids just fluttering, beginning to open. And 5, opening your eyes, feeling totally awake, refreshed, and alert. Righty. Hello, hello. Welcome back, everybody. Take your time coming back, and I'll get my little screen up. But whenever you're ready, if anyone wants to, I'd love to hear what was that like for you? What were some of the things that stuck out in that session for you. If anyone wants to share, no pressure.
I thought that was really interesting about the darker color going to a specific area of discomfort. And then with the breathing, it got lighter and lighter. That was like a very powerful image for me. I must have slept wrong. So I happened to have very specific pain, kind of like, discomfort, like that my shoulder going to the back of my neck. And I thought that was really effective. And I've never seen or heard that one before. So I thought that was really exciting.
Awesome. Yeah, it's fun to do some research on some of the metaphors I come up with. And of course, I'll research and see what's out there. That was one I really liked. I was like, this is one I'm definitely going to be using going forward.
I like that one a lot. And the way it got lighter and lighter, and I thought that was very powerful.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Rachel.
I agree, Rachel. That was the most for me also. It was very powerful.
Awesome. Great. Thanks for sharing, Robin. Awesome. Anyone else? No pressure. And close out.
It was when you took that bottle and fill it up and toss it in the sea. It really had an impact on me. It was like really getting rid of that pain in my head. Yeah.
Good. Thanks for sharing, Hildred. I know as I was saying that one, I added in the message, maybe you just chuck it in there, because I feel like with pain, there's also so much frustration, right? And sometimes it can be nice to actually express that. Physically, we can't throw our pain out of our body. Would be nice if we could, but it's one of these things mentally we can do almost as a metaphor that can release the pain, but also, let us release some of that frustration and anger and even resentment. So yeah, thanks for sharing that, Hildred.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, Jenny.
Yeah, I also wanted to say that it released, I had some pain in my neck because I had to go for a biopsy 2 days ago. And it released that, but it also released the stress of the day because I've been running around all morning. So I like the visualization. It really helped.
Good.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Always good to see you, Janet. I'm glad it was impactful.
Thanks. Thank you.
Awesome.
So this is Audrey. So for me, the breathing alone is a natural healer because I tend to tighten up and my tightness goes in my neck and my shoulders. So when I breathe into the discomfort, it just lessens. And then I created like this fire engine red color of like inflammation. And then I allowed it to go to a soft pink. Nice. So it just diminished, but the breathing was the facilitator. So that was really, really nice. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. And yeah, you might have noticed with this series altogether, we did a few hypnosis sessions that were a little more unique. We haven't really done a montage like this before of a bunch of different techniques that you could use. But I'm really glad that we did, because I've said it a million times today. I'm going to say it a million times more. All of this work is about finding what works for you, right? I don't tell you a million different techniques just to overwhelm you and like make it like there's too many things you have to try. But because we're all on our own journey, some people are going to love chucking that bottle of pain into the ocean and watching it float away. Other people are going to like that fire engine red turning to a soft, pretty pink. I personally really like the numb one. When I was playing with that, I actually was feeling my hands get cold, which was so interesting. So we all have our own reactions. And so you decide to do this recording again, if you decide to practice self-hypnosis, these are the exact kinds of things you can visualize. Imagining that spot on your body, that fire engine red, breathing out of it, watching it change. You can do this on your own time. And I actually really encourage it. So yeah, that's my thing that I just always have to harp on because I'm so passionate about it. But to close us out, you guys are leaving with a ton of tips about how and why to use breathwork and a slew of other things in your pain management protocol, and even the tools after 11 sessions on how to hypnotize yourself and find relaxation when you need it, especially if for some reason you're not able to put in some earphones and do a hypnosis recording. And I'd just like to say thank you guys. It is always so fun doing these sessions with you, and I enjoy it so deeply. So please always reach out if you have any questions about this session, if you are curious about working together. I always love doing these. Here's my contact info, my website, and in the chat, I will go ahead and put that link again for the, disregard what I just sent. That's not the right link. That's something for grad school, but that woman to woman link. So yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emma. This was wonderful. And it was a really exciting way to end also, and clearly so impactful. You are wonderful. We will always invite you back to do different sessions and take us on these journeys. And we just feel very lucky to be the beneficiaries of your knowledge, your research. As you said, you love researching. And most importantly, as you noted, your passion, because, you know, we're just very lucky to have you as part of the Woman to Woman community. So thank you for everything. And thank you all for going on this journey.
Thank you, Emma.